these weeks all joined together in a very exciting way. We started on our footings. After digging them out, trenching them out, placing in the rebar, getting the inspection done, we knew it was time to get the form boards up, the batter boards, pull our corners, and make sure that everything was square and ready for the cement. We had to finish putting in the last bit of gravel so that the cement truck could get all the way up to the fittings. And of course, we were both doing all of the fittings, so it looked something like this, but we didn't get any video because the two of us were working hard, wheelbarrowing the cement, moving it, and getting it into the forms. This is the end product. We have a completely formed cement footing all the way around for the shop. And that is going to be 20 by 30 feet. So it was about 600 square feet completely done. Then it was time for block. So we let that dry. We took off our form boards and we began laying block. That first course of block, it's just going to be one course all the way around. And we had our strings to pull square and make sure that we knew exactly where all the corners were supposed to be. That way everything lined up perfectly. We finished the block all the way around the building, and then it was time to load dirt in the center. So load after load, we had plenty of dirt left over from grading out the area, and we had to backfill it back in and tamp it down with the tamper and make sure it was very firm and sturdy for the gravel, the rebar, and the plastic that was coming later so that we could get a cement slab poured. So all of that had to be done beforehand. And then, of course, we had to go start our fire for lunch. So starting with our poplar tree, this is what it looks like, nice and straight. They look up. If you start to identify the leaves, that'll give you a good clue if you found the right one. Here's a little baby tree that I found right next to it, and I find it a little easier to see the leaves up closer. So just that 4-fingered leaf, very easy to identify once you know what you're looking for. And then you just look for a dropped limb. It's just a limb that's fallen down onto the ground. It's been sitting there for a while. Probably not a fresh limb. You don't want anything green, and you don't want anything that's been there forever that's just completely rotted. If it just breaks off in little tiny pieces, that's too rotten. But if it breaks off in strips like it is in the video, that is perfect. Man, you want to pick all of that up and store it in a bucket for later so that you can enjoy it and use it for all of your fires. You can see those fibers already. We haven't even broken this down or anything, but that just shows you just how good poplar bark is for starting a fire because it just really has that fibrous layer. So always, always, always start with your four stick piles. So you've got your match size stick. That's your first one. It's pretty thin. Then you kind of want that finger size stick, maybe a thumb size stick. And then just that bigger spindled stick so that it can go to the bigger log and it'll adjust just fine. I always get those stick piles prepared before I start on my tinder bundle or the fire or anything else, because if you get that lit and your coal is lit or your tinder bundle is lit and you don't have the sticks in place, it'll go out so fast and you won't be able to get your fire going. So if you've got your bark, you just want to grab it and work it in your hands. And the point is just trying to break down the fibers. You're going to build what I like to call a bird's nest. It's a tinder bundle. It's just a way to break down the fibers but allow for a spark or a coal or a match, a flame, a lighter, whatever you're choosing to use to start your fire. You just want something that will catch a flame and keep it going long enough to catch on to the sticks that are up above, because then you can get your fire going. So if you break down and kind of break down those rougher big bark pieces and just break it in half, and then if you peel apart or break apart some of those bigger chunks, that'll help you. And then I just kind of do a scissor or saw motion back and forth in my hands, and the fibers actually work against themselves to break down very easily, and it'll become more and more fluffy or fibrous, and that's what you're looking for. So you can have one that's like more finely done, and that'll catch your spark. And then some people like to do like an outer layering of maybe a rougher, not so broken down, not so fuzzy and fibrous, and it's just kind of like a second chunk of tinder bundle, so like grasses or just unbroken down bark. That's what I'm going to do with the second bundle, just to show you guys if you're really struggling to get a fire going and that first bundle is just going out too fast or it's not catching well and you're nervous. A great way to back yourself up and get a little more time out of your tinder bundle is to do a second bundle that is thicker, bigger, just a little more rough in character. And so when I put the two piles together, you'll see like one is really fine and ready to catch a spark from like a ferro rod, and then one is more rough, and that's like the second layer it'll go into before it gets to the matchsticks. So again, not necessarily always necessary. I mean, if you have some old dry grass laying around, that'll work well as a second pairing for your fire, but most of the time the first one will do just fine. But if it's really wet or snowy or you're just struggling, it's good to know that you can extend that tinder bundle out by doing a second bundle right behind it, and that will help it catch really well. So just keep breaking it down, working it back and forth in your hands. If anything falls to the ground, you can absolutely pick that up. It's not unusable unless it's completely soaked or got into water. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to use it. So you can see how that back is like more thick, and then the front is that softer. And then I just like those matchsticks right near, and go ahead and get your ferro rod and magnesium striker like really close, and you're pulling back the rod. So a lot of people like to pull back the striker, but you actually want to pull back the rod, because if you pull back the striker, you can bump your pile, your tinder bundle, your sticks. You can kind of knock everything off, and then as soon as it lights, you just roll it up onto itself and let gravity do its job. That fire will flame, look upwards, and it will start to catch whatever's on top. So I like to put the second pile on top pretty quickly, especially if it's wet or anything, because the heat from the bottom pile will start to dry it out. It'll start to catch. You've got those flames. You can see how they lick up really high. And yeah, like that second pile hasn't necessarily caught. It is now, but it didn't catch in the beginning, but it is heating up and getting ready to catch. And so once that second pile is caught pretty well, you can see that. We're going to go ahead, put the third pile on, and this flame is good to go. It's going to do really well and go into a great big flame. So we'll put our bigger sticks on top and eventually our logs. You can see a nice healthy flame. It's got plenty of oxygen. You're doing that kind of a TP style. Make sure you're not suffocating. Just stack side to side. Let one side definitely get plenty of oxygen. You don't want to put your fire out. You just want it to keep going. So it ate through those matchsticks pretty quick, but that's kind of the way that fire works. It just needs a progression. If you put those big sticks on without lighter fluid or some kind of other material that's going to linger in burning, it just isn't going to catch well. So it's better to just do the stages of wood, which you normally have lying around. If you already have trees and branches down, you can just kind of clean up and mulch a little bit with what you already have at your home. And that's really nice. So those are all caught. Now it's going up. That flame is already all the way up to our fourth pile and catching really well. So I am happy with this fire. It did a great job. And that is nothing other than the ferro rod. I did not use anything else to get it going. And then I put the big logs on, and you can see all the sticks still are burning and starting to catch those bigger logs on top, so that we can get cooking, because we wanted to cook our lunch and be ready to eat. And the dogs decided to go down. There's a creek down lower that they've been down into several times and have gotten muddy and enjoyed all the water. And so they go cool off down there and love running down there. So it's a really nice area. We enjoy very much having our lunch down here, getting a break from all the work a week. And we love all the work as well, but sometimes it's nice to take a second and just remember the property and how beautiful it is, how beautiful the water is, the fire, the sound of the waterfall, and man, just looking around you when you're down there is just, it's stunning. It's beautiful to know that it's something we own and that it's ours and we get to enjoy it. And so it's such a relaxing and peaceful time for us to remember all that we've been given, and we're very blessed and we're thankful for it and all of the hard work. We have really tried since owning this land to never make it just work. So we do our best on weekends or kind of at lunch or in the evenings. We'll try to knock off a little early and make sure that we're enjoying the property. So either we come down and enjoy the creek and splash with the dogs, throw a ball for them, or we come down to the fire pit and we enjoy cooking a meal over the fire, and just we take longer than we need to because we want to remember that yes, it's a ton of work developing your own land, but it's also our home, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to spend the time here that we don't want to make the property just work. Like, there are people that have talked to us that just either hate their homestead or hate their farm. It's just so much work and they just want to sell it or they want to get out from under it. They get burnt out very easily, and we are grateful for those stories and the things that they've shared with us. And a lot of the things they shared with us was like they tried to do too much too fast, and so we are trying to slow it down and not do that so that we don't get burnt out and we enjoy the work, but we also enjoy the property. And I think that's such an important part, to have both and do both, so that we remember that this is going to be our home one day and we're excited to live here. And it wasn't just a job. It wasn't just this huge amount of work that we just got completely overwhelmed and we like give up on it before we even get started. So it's something we're guarding against. And we didn't always do it well, but we are starting early and trying to at least help ourselves maybe not get there so quickly, or not get there at all, hopefully. Was definitely the idea, was to just enjoy the property as we worked so that there was a good balance ratio. And there were days that we just were done working and needed to take a day off. And we did. We took those days that we just enjoyed the property, because you can lose sight in all of the work, what the potential of the property holds and everything. So we decided to cook up some, we put butter in the pan, and then we put some zucchini, some yellow squash, and onions. So the yellow squash and the zucchini we actually grew, and the onions, I have not figured out onions yet, so we did not grow those, but those are store-bought. Everything else, though, we enjoyed and grew, and that's been really fun to grow some squash and have some squash. We both enjoy that. So we were just putting that over the fire. We gave it a little seasoning, salt, garlic, and onions, obviously, and pepper. And then we're just going to saute it in the butter over the fire in that big cast iron pan. So we like cast iron over the fire just because it's easy to use and it doesn't, there's nothing on it that's plastic or wood that would melt, no handles or anything, and it's fairly easy to clean. There's ways you can clean cast iron that are easier than others. I think one of the easiest ways we found so far, if like something's really stuck in the pan, you can actually, so when you're completely done, you can put some water in the pan and put it back over the fire and let that water, just the water, so like, you know, when we're finished cooking all of this, we can just put the water back in. You don't want to use soap, remember, because cast iron like actually soaks that up, so you really have to be very careful that you do not put any soap in cast iron, because you can taste it later, it like stays in there. And so we just put water, we put it back over the fire, and that will break up the leftover food or oil or seasonings and things that are left in the pan, and make it way easier to just scrub out. And then, of course, if you use cast iron, you do have to season. So seasoning, for people that don't use cast iron, it's just to help the cast iron not rust, because it is iron, so it's not like stainless steel or your Teflon, where it's got that protective coating on it. It's just an iron pan. So if you were to leave water, or if you didn't clean it properly, it will rust. And so after you finish cooking something in there, you just have to put oil in it afterwards. So I actually enjoy putting coconut oil because it doesn't leave too much of a taste, and it's pretty easy to wipe around the inside and outside of the pan. And so we just put that all around the outside, all around the inside, and then you can heat it. If you have an oven, that's probably the best way to season it. And 15-20 minutes. Once it's clean, you put the oil on it and then put it in your oven for the 15-20 minutes at a heat. Like if I'm making cookies or something, or a bread, I'll just go ahead and put those in there first and let that heat up with like the beginning when it's preheating. And then when it goes off, it's been about 10-15 minutes, and that's pretty good for it to be seasoned. Then I'll pull it out and let it cool off before I put it away. So that's how that works. So squash and zucchini does not need to cook too long. It was done pretty fast. And we're just gonna scoop that out now, and then we'll enjoy our veggies while we cook our meat up. So it is pretty hot. We had that rock there that was really nice. You could kind of pull the pan off onto the rock and use it like as a table. And anytime you're building a fire, it's really nice to do a rock ring. So if you put the ring around the rock, that rock ring around the fire, it'll keep your like sparks and your coals, your wood, everything in your fire pit. It also just gives you a reference point of where your fire is, especially at night, as fire is known to grow and can get you in trouble if a spark or a flame or something jumps out of where it's supposed to be. That is an issue, and so you just always want to be careful. So this smells amazing, looks amazing, tastes amazing. And then we had some steak that we just cut up thinly, and we put some steak seasoning on it. And then we'll mix all that around and put that in. We still had some butter and some yummy juices from the squash and stuff left over, so we're actually just going to recook it right back in there. I did grab some store-bought mushrooms. We love mushrooms in our steak, and that is a nice treat for us when we can remember to bring them out. So that is what I'm going to do now, is just quarter them up. If you're cooking mushrooms with your steak, you can either put it in right at the end, so you don't, if you're going to chop it like really thin, you just want to kind of put it right at the end so that the mushrooms don't cook too quickly, because they will definitely cook faster than your steak, and you can just overcook them and then they're just like a rubbery, sloppy mess. So what I like to do is either, if I'm going to cut them thin, I'll just put them in at the end, or if I'm going to cook them with the steak, I leave them like really chunky. So you can see those are really big blocky chunks, and that actually helps them cook more evenly so that they are not cooking too fast before the steak, and then everything kind of finishes around the same time and is ready to eat together. So if anything looks too big, you can always go back and chop it with your spoon, and that's not too big of a deal. And then we'll just mix it all up together, get the flavoring on everything so that we are ready to put it in our pan. And we have that leftover butter, like I said, and some squash sauce. So it's all super flavorful and yummy. And we, again, pulled that pan off onto the rocks until we're ready. We don't need it just heating over the fire without anything in it. And then I put a little more seasoning on. It looked a little light. And now we will let that cook slowly. So as long as you keep stirring, obviously wherever the flame is, so you kind of saw some of the videos of the flame pointing up, and it definitely was licking towards the front of the pan, so that's going to be the hottest. So it's an uneven heat, it's not going to cook evenly over the entire surface of the pan. So if you notice, the front end is getting cooked quicker than like the back where the handle is, because the back is obviously near the rock, so it just wasn't gonna cook as fast, then it's easy to just keep stirring it. If you leave it alone though, you'll probably start to burn the front, or that front half will cook definitely a little too fast compared to the back half. So as long as you're on it and stick with it and just stir it, it's not a problem, but it can get away from you, I would say, on an open flame like this. If you're not paying attention, you could, just because of the uneven heat, you could definitely have some places that are a little more charred than others. But yeah, we kept up with it, definitely kept stirring it and trying to get it cooked evenly. And it's really easy to cook over an open flame. It actually, you can see the smoke in the video, like how it's all over the meat and the mushrooms, and it flavors through, like it permeates into all of that food, and it's so good. It's like a really authentic, yummy, smoky flavor into your meat, into your mushrooms, and you didn't have to add any flavoring for that. You literally just cooked outside and got to enjoy a fire, got to start a fire, got to learn some skills and practice some skills, but you got this awesome flavor in your meat and your mushrooms and squash and zucchini. So we are very excited to eat all of this and enjoy it. It is so fun to always get outside and try something new, learn something new. So I hope you guys get a chance to take a break from everyday life and go try something that you haven't tried yet, or get inspired to get a new pan when you go camping next, so that you can try out cast iron for the first time if you've never tried it out. The only thing I would recommend would be a hot pad of some sort, because the handle is obviously the iron, so it's hot and it gets hot really quick. Even though it's not over the flame and it's actually over the rock, way away from the flame, it still traveled up the pan and onto that handle, and so it definitely got really hot, and I just had to use a hot pad to move it off the fire. And that was something I'm happy I packed, and it was just something I would recommend if you're going to do a cast iron pan without any way to protect your hand from that iron. It's just going to be really hot. So if you have a hot pad or a towel, anything to just help you get it off of the fire, that would be really easy. So this is all cooked. It's all good. The mushrooms were thick, so they stayed great. They did not cook too fast. Really yummy. Tons of juice left over. That's what I love to see. I do not like a dry steak, so I love sauce and yummy flavor. So we have plenty of that in here. And we'll kind of mix the two together and get a well-rounded meal with tons of veggies, tons of protein, and that'll help us as we work through our day and keep working on the cement. And so, such a great, easy meal, easy to fix, and take a couple minutes to cook, not too long. Nice to take a break over the fire anyway. It's relaxing, and it encourages us to sit and talk for a little bit and enjoy our time. There is the end product. Oh man, it's so good. It smells good. It's so yummy. And we love steak, and we love mushrooms, and so that plus the squash and zucchini and the onions all just went together to make just an awesome meal. Really yummy. Very grateful for the time to just enjoy a little bit of our garden and a little bit of the store as well. Some of it's store-bought, and we definitely haven't grown it all yet, but we plan to keep adding to our farm so that one day we just don't have to go to the store so much. But it is really yummy. We are going to enjoy our lunch. And the last thing that we thought of that we wanted to share about in this video was something financial that we were learning with a friend of ours. So we were talking about a savings account and saving money, and she was explaining that she and her husband live paycheck to paycheck, and I got her permission to share the story, so she was happy for me to share in case maybe it helped someone else. But they live paycheck to paycheck, and we were asking them, like, what would it mean if you guys could set aside like $1,000 in a savings account? And they were both just like, man, that would be amazing to have that set aside and know that we had a peace of mind, like kind of a oops, something happened, or your truck had to go in for a fix, or just, it's not a ton of money, but it would be something that if it came up or something popped up, you wouldn't be panicking on your original expenses that you already had planned for the month. And so it's just that $1,000 that sits in your bank and is just ready for some kind of emergency or something that pops up. And so we kind of walked through with them, and we talked a lot about what would it be to set aside so much every paycheck, $100. And they were like, no, like that's just too much. We can't do that. And it was like, okay, the bigger the number, it seemed to be too hard. So we were like, what about $50? And they were like, yeah, that's a ton. That's just so much. And so we kept talking, and we were like, man, how do we help like get you guys to this? Because we just know how nice that is to have a peace of mind and have that in your bank account. And so we were talking about eating out and talking about coffee and buying coffee on your way to work and different things like that. And eventually we said, well, what about $10 a day? And so we kind of did the rough math, and it was like, if you save $10 a day, what would that look like? And they both looked at each other and they were like, yeah, we can do $10. Like, we could forgo a coffee here and there. And they're like, how long? We said 100 days. And they were like, okay, so for $10 a day for 100 days. And we're like, that's $1,000. And it was like perfect for both of us, because we had found a way that we could both encourage each other and help them get to this awesome goal of having that $1,000 in their bank account, where they didn't have to live that life of paycheck to paycheck. And we found it in a way that worked for them, not this big, huge, arbitrary number of, $500 a month or $50 or even $150. And it was just $10 a day. And it was just such an encouraging story to me, because you guys can do it no matter where you are. You just have to find the number that works for you. Like, a savings account is not too far out there. It's not something that you can't achieve, but you have to find the number that works for you and what number works for your family, and know that having that cash in your savings and knowing that you're ready for something that comes your way is going to give you peace of mind and help you sleep at night. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and seeing all the progress that we've made through these last couple weeks. Stay tuned.